From the beginning, the objective of our service was wrong. If so, we must correct it now. Cloud lowered his head. He felt exhausted, thinking it was all over. I will give up. Hearing his weak voice, the subordinates gasped. Cloud was a wanted criminal, accused of attempted murder of the crown prince. Even if he turned himself in, he would not escape the death penalty. Why would you do something like that? You better run away with us. We will be with you until the end. Those who had once called him a coward and who ran away to live alone were now trying to stop Cloud. My niece is there alone. How can I abandon her and choose to live alone? He mounted his horse and began to move, holding a flagpole with a white cloth hanging down. Step by step, slowly. Towards the main door of the residence of the Duke of Weishafen. It was the true meaning of surrender. At first no one recognized him because it was dark, but when he came into the light of the lantern and dismounted, the knights recognized him, pointed at him and shouted, "Hey, Cloud Heir! Catch him now!" Cloud was quickly brought to his knees and tied up. He accepted it all with a humble expression. What's all this fuss about? At this moment, a stranger's voice was heard. The knights turned their heads towards the sound and hurriedly saluted. The voice belonged to none other than Emperor Hiram of the Palace Empire. Ah, His Majesty the Emperor. We have captured the man who tried to assassinate His Highness the Crown Prince. Please flee to a safe place. The Emperor, getting off the carriage, looked at Cloud's face with a complex expression. She had heard stories of how he had helped Isla in times of crisis. Hiram couldn't forgive him easily, since he was the one who tried to kill his son, but he couldn't hold on to the resentment. To use a sword analogy, Cloud was a rare and renowned sword. It just fell into the wrong hands. Thinking about it like this, he felt a little sad. He gave himself up. Shouldn't he be treated with at least a little human courtesy? When Hiram pointed to the white flag that Cloud was holding, the knights who had just discovered it seemed slightly taken aback. I need to go in to see the person I've been waiting for so long, so don't be so abrupt. He shrugged and climbed back into the carriage. Cloud stared at the back of the carriage as it drove away. He knew the brothers were completely different, but experiencing it firsthand made him feel even more different. It wasn't that the older brother lacked something, so the younger brother seemed relatively superior. It was simply that the size of the younger brother's bowl was much larger. The carriage carrying Hiram stopped right next to the building. He left with a confused expression and entered the mansion. And there, Byron was waiting, looking so ugly I couldn't bear to open my eyes and look at him. It's been a while, brother. At the sound of his voice, Byron, who had been bowing his head, raised it. Two pairs of yellow eyes met in the air, and sparks seemed to fly. Hiram, thief. Byron growled like a madman. If he were free, he would rush out and bite his brother. What did I steal to deserve being called a thief? Whose seat do you think you're sitting in? That seat has been mine since I was born. At his brother's response, Hiram lowered his head a little and laughed in vain. Still, he tried at first. He tried to understand him somehow. And correct his misunderstandings. But he had long since given up on that. He realized that no matter how hard he tried to communicate, they couldn't do it. The place I occupy has never been yours. Even if you woke up, you wouldn't understand why Father chose me instead of you. Hiram's voice was full of anger and resignation. He seemed to feel sorry for Byron. It's already over. He accepts the sins of betraying filial piety, of kidnapping a girl and forcing her to commit such heinous acts. At his brother's words, Byron burst into anger and screamed. Even in that situation, he still refused to give up. Do you think it will end like this? My loyal soldiers will soon invade this place. Oh, you mean Cloud Heir? They surrendered with a white flag. Hiram's seriousness disappeared and he returned to his playful tone, speaking naturally. What is that? Do you still think he's your subordinate? He has been serving the Princess of Weishafen for a long time. Byron looked at his brother with a dejected expression. Byron wondered where things had gone wrong, but it turned out that they had been falling apart for a long time. He just hadn't realized it. Hiram, who was watching the scene, covered his nose at the nauseating stench that came from before and asked, "But what is that smell? Where does it come from?" "Ah. That's why the incontinent sinner." "I'm sorry, Your Majesty." Roderick, who was next to him, sighed and told him the whole story. He said Byron was scared because he thought Isla was going to kill him when she pointed her knife at him. "Isla, she often shows you the bad side. I'll make it up to you with a much better wardrobe." Hiram put his hand to his head as if he had a headache. He said that, but deep down, he thought Isla might kill Byron. Perhaps he thought that upon arriving at this mansion, he would find Byron's corpse instead of the living one. "But you say you will let him live and give him appropriate punishment instead of killing him?" He had always coveted her as a match for his son, but this choice made Hiram even more attracted to Isla. He could have let his hatred lead him to make a different decision, but he didn't. "Then I will take care of this interest." "Yes, Your Majesty. Please do it." The purpose of coming to the Duke of Weishafen's residence had been fulfilled, so it was time for Hiram to leave the building and return to the palace. "Ophelia, my Ophelia." Byron, who was being dragged away by the knights of the royal guard, discovered Ophelia and began to cause a ruckus, shouting her name. "My love, my Ophelia." Ophelia looked at Byron with contempt, then took a step forward. Then he spat in his face. "Don't pronounce my name with that dirty tongue. I will cut it off so you can never say my name again. And I'll put out your eyes so you can't look at me again. Ophelia, don't say those hurtful things. You really are a man without a clue. This is nothing new." Ophelia closed her eyes tightly. It was disgusting. She hated him so much it made her shudder. But now that it was all over, he would leave those feelings behind. It was his decision. He had suffered too long because of her. He didn't want to spend the rest of his life hating him. When Ophelia turned around coldly, Byron called her name again. "Ophelia, Ophelia. Shut your mouth. It's noisy." Hiram, who was leading, sighed deeply. In reality, it was a situation where the person involved was unaware of the shame, while the person next to him felt even more ashamed. He just wanted to quickly return to the palace and rest. Just when Ophelia finally calmed her trembling heart and was about to return to her bedroom, Isla spoke to her with a worried expression. "Mom, are you okay?" "Yes, that's fine. But your hair." Ophelia, who was looking at her daughter with a smile, widened her eyes when she saw her daughter's hair, which was uneven in length because it was cut roughly with a knife. "Ah, that's it. It's light and pretty when it's cut." Isla laughed awkwardly and stroked her short hair. She felt very uncomfortable because she had lived with long hair for so long that she had never cut it once in her life. Ophelia looked at her daughter blankly, unable to say anything. She hadn't heard of Byron's unusual obsession with Isla's hair, but she had a rough idea. It was because he showed the same obsession with her. From the moment they met, Byron stroked Ophelia's hair and kissed him without permission. He had even praised her beautiful, shiny silver hair nonstop. Isla had probably been bullied like this her entire life. "I think it will look nice if I call a hairdresser later and she trims the ends a little. My daughter is so pretty, short hair suits you." Ophelia smiled and ruffled her daughter's hair. Although her hair was slightly curly, it was a little different from Isidore's second daughter Michelle's straight bob cut, but Isla's curly bob certainly had a unique charm. "Do you feel better now?" "Yes, Mother. Isla felt so refreshed in that moment that she wondered if her body and mind could ever be so light. It seemed as if the pain that had been weighing her down, as heavy as the weight of her long-cut hair, had completely disappeared. Excellent. Ophelia shook her daughter's hand tightly, as warmly as when they first met. Strangely, he felt as if his eyes were filling with tears. Roderick, who had just seen off Hiram, returned to the mansion. As if in cahoots with Ophelia, Roderick squeezed his daughter's other hand. And in that moment, Isla realized it. Now he felt like he could confess everything. Even the betrayal he had committed before returning to time. Mother, father. I have something to tell you.